Hey guys, Gator Pit Rich Robin here. I'm at my house and I have my Texas Edition / Texas Premier. It's kind of a mix. I got my pup Blue with me. But I decided to cook some ribs today. We got some rain coming in and I was sitting in the house and I'm like, I can't stay in this dang house. So I knew I had a three-pack rack of ribs in the freezer. So I pulled those out. They're defrosted now, and I had some boudin. From Best Stop in Scott, Louisiana. Good stuff, right? The real deal boudin. Anyway, so I'm going to show you how I fired this pit up. What I did is I cleaned it first, right? So I put some pellets in my hopper. I don't know, it's maybe quarter to half full tops. Pretty much all I'm going to need today. Wiped it up. As you can see, my pit stays outside. It's not covered at all. Everybody asks, do I cover my pellet grills? And I don't. I don't cover any of my pits. None of my pits have covers on them. And yes, it gets rained on. So what I did is I took the inside out. I pulled my food grate out, took my grease pan out and my heat shield out, and I vacuumed it out with this little shop vac here that you can buy pretty much anywhere, right? It cost me like 29 bucks, 30 bucks. Walmart, I think, is where I got this one. Cheap. And it's small and it's easy to use. It's got a lot of power too. So sucked all my fire pot out and any of the ash that was kind of blowing around down in the bottom of it, which you will get that. Now I'd cooked on this thing 3 times prior to cleaning it today. So I had 3 cooks prior to today. I'm going to tell you, as the manufacturer of these, don't do what I do what I say. And that is, after every cook, clean these things out, being the fire pot at least. Because it can cause you some issues with ash building up inside that fire pot and causing some airflow issues. My last 3 cooks weren't long cooks, and I know I can run 12 plus hours on this without a doubt before I have to clean the fire pot out, before I may experience any issues. I've gone longer than that as well. But that fire pot does fill up with ash over time, and it can cause you some issues. So those last 3 cooks weren't long cooks. One was a brisket that I had done in about 6 hours, and then I cooked y'all may have saw pictures. I cooked a venison tenderloin a couple nights ago for dinner, and then what did I do? And I think I did some ribs before that, or ribs before the brisket, and then the brisket, and then the pork tenderloin, and now today. So 3 cooks before this. Now I'm cleaning it out, and the fire pot had about maybe an inch and a half of ash in it, so it wasn't a lot, and I could have cooked what I'm cooking today, being the ribs, but you know, there's no point in getting into a cook and having the potential of it giving you some temperature issues. So clean the fire pot out after every cook. And I know I'm kind of rambling, but I'm telling this to anybody who has a pellet grill and anybody who has specifically my Gator Pit grill, my experiences. My recommendation is clean them out before you cook. Got my grease drain half open down there, as you can see, and I laid a little foil in my grease pan, as you can see, fresh foil. Makes it easy to clean up, and I always clean my temperature stem inside. I always clean that. Before every cook, I will clean that thing. I have learned that after a bunch of cooks, that thing gets as black as the side walls with the smoke and all that build up over time. That thing gets that black, and it gets thick, right, and baked on there, and it gives you false readings. So always clean. See, mine's clean. It's stainless steel shiny. Keep that clean, man. I'm telling y'all, keep it clean. So that's about it. I just cleaned it and got it ready. I hosed my grates down. I got anything that was on there off of it with a water hose. I always keep a water hose handy right here, and I clean it. And when it gets, you know, if it ever gets really nasty, in the oven, spray it with some oven cleaner, and then I'll let it sit for 5-10 minutes, and then I hose that off as well, and I'll scrape it as well. But if you clean them like I do every day, or not every day, but you know, every cook like I do, this is what they look like. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the grate. I'm going to come back and put a little squirt some olive oil on top of that before I actually put my ribs in there, just to put some more oil back on it where I kind of got it down to the metal. But that's it, guys. So we're going to turn this thing on. There it is. You hear the fans kicking in, all that good stuff, right? And I believe the Smoke Daddy manual. This is the Pellet Pro, obviously. From Smoke Daddy. I love these hoppers. This is a 35-pound with a pellet dump. You pull that and everything dumps out. Put your bag right here of pellets, and you can empty your unspent pellets. So I always start. The Smoke Daddy says to start it high, I believe, in their owner's manual. I don't start it high. I start on low smoke. All right, I go low smoke, and we're gonna let it slowly fire up, and and then I'm gonna work it up to my cooking temperature that I want, as opposed to starting high and then possibly having to overshoot my temp and then come back down, because that can cause you some issues as well. I've experienced that once. So I always go low and then work my way up to my 250, 275, 225, whatever temperature I want to cook at. Don't laugh at me, I threw some foil. I lost my Pro Pork plug. Yeah, I know, I got 5,000 at my shop, but I keep forgetting. It's one of the things you just don't remember to take home from the shop. So I stuck some foil in it. Hey, it works just as good, right? I don't use meat thermometers, so it doesn't really matter to me a whole lot anyway. So anyway, we're gonna fire this thing up. And what you're gonna hear is obviously the fan, if you can hear that. And it's gonna start smoking here in a little bit as the heating rod inside heats up. The pellets get on that rod. Now you gotta make sure you have pellets in the auger. You have to charge the auger, feed the auger, and you have to have a few pellets in the actual fire plot down there before you fire this thing up. So if you're firing it up, always make sure that you have some pellets through the auger that comes in here and in the fire pot, and a few pellets in there. If you want to speed it up, you can actually take some pellets out of your hopper here, you know, about that many right there, just a little I don't know, 15, 20 of them, and put that in the fire pot. But you still have to have the auger that comes in here charged with pellets. Check on my dog, man. Hang on. Blue, here. Good girl. All right. I don't want to terrorize the neighbors. So, you know, it's at 71, which is kind of like the temperature here today right now is what it's reading, basically. So I'm starting to smell a little smoke. So the pellets are starting to burn. I can smell it. And in a little bit, you're going to see some smoke. So we're just going to let it get going. I'm going to take a sip of my water. I do have my smokestack open all the way. You can see that. It is open all the way. I'm starting to smell some more smoke. I love the side shelf, by the way. I use this thing for all kinds of stuff. Obviously, you can see here I've got my gloves, my cleaner, and I've got my foil on there. It's a great meat pan spot to set meat down when you're going from there to there. You know, big shelf, big stainless steel shelf on here, 304 brushed. I love that shelf. All that comes with the Texas Premier. You want the Gator pit loaded with pretty much everything. All right, now I can see the smoke. I don't know if y'all can. Let me see if I can get. I don't know if you can see that in the video, man. But it's starting to smoke now. And a little bit, yeah, there you go. I think you can see it on that side right there. So in a little bit, another fan's going to kick on, right? And you're going to hear like, wow, it's going to kick in, and that's when it's going to start getting up to temp. Now we get some more smoke belching out of it. Step back so you can see that. There you go. I think you can see that now. I can see it at least. And give it a few more seconds, and you're going to hear the second fan kick in, or the other fan's going to kick in. Basically, this thing's ramping up to start cooking, right? Ramping up to start cooking. You can hear all kinds of good stuff going on there with all those mechanical parts in there. Auger turning. Oh, I can smell the smoke, man. I love it. Love it. All right. I don't know if you can hear it, but the other fan is kicked in. In a little bit, you're going to see the smoke kind of dissipate. It's going to thin out. And once it gets to that point, you're going to then close your door, and we're going to set our controller to the cooking temperature that you want. There's that other fan going. Can you hear it? Hopefully you can hear it. See, it's starting to thin out. So at this point, I could actually close the door and set my temp. So why don't we do that? Let's close the door and let's set the temp. Nice and tight door. Look at that. No leaking. No leaks. What Gator Pit's known for, right? It's like Gator Pit quality. Now I see some smoke coming out of here. Let me see if I can get a darker background. Or maybe you can see it. I don't know. It's kind of hard. I don't know. Anyway. So I'm going to go over here in my controller. And I'm going to put it on mid. I like to start high. Being like the 270. Mid's the 270 range. So I'm gonna put it on mid. Oh, now you hear everything, you hear it? Everything's kind of pulsating, throbbing, so to speak. The temperature's climbing. Yeah, it's climbing quick, right? So we're gonna get this thing up, let it run, and at this point I would normally go in the house and just start prepping my ribs. By the time I have my 3 racks of ribs going, this thing's gonna be at my 270, and then what I would do is I would cut it down to 250 when I put the ribs on, and just let it run, man. You want to go really low and slow, cut it down to 225. One of the things I've learned too is that when you go from a higher temperature to a lower temperature, open your door, release that higher heat as you turn that down. So if I was 270 and I'm going to kick this thing to 250, I would set that at 250, open my door, and when that drops down to my 250, I'll then close the door, which obviously doesn't take but a few seconds because you're letting that heat out, right? Because what you don't want is you don't want the hopper still trying to maintain that 270 or thinking it's still running 270. Keep in mind, this is a computer, man. So you don't want to wind up having more pellets in the fire pot for that 270 temp than you do for the 250. So if you let that heat out, it'll make things go a little quicker for you. If that makes any sense. I don't know if it does or not, but it actually works smoother if you open the door when you drop down to a lower temp. That's also in the Smoke Daddy owner's manual, guys. So I'm not making this stuff up. That's in the owner's manual. If anybody gets my pits, read the owner's manual, I'm telling you. I get a lot of guys who call me and say, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, what do I do? And I'm like, did you read the owner's manual? And they're like, no. Seriously, who reads the owner's manual, right? But seriously, read the owner's manual. It will answer a lot of your questions that you're having when it comes to controlling this and running your PID, your controller, and not experiencing any issues. Because most of the issues, if not all, at least certainly 99.9% of them are user error, okay? They're user error. Find my dog again. Blue! Oh, there you are. She was over there licking the grass where I wash my grates. Yeah, gotta love them dogs when you're cooking, right? So anyway, it's climbing. It's 164. We went from what, 71 to now we're at 164, 165. All right, it's climbing up. It's climbing up. Now this thing, again, this is all the pellets I'm going to need to run today. It's not even a half hopper, I don't think. It's just below half. That thing's going to run my whole duration for my ribs. I'm cooking my ribs a good 6 hours. I'm going to go real low and slow on these. I'm probably going to cut it down to 225 and just let it run. And then towards the last hour, I'll probably kick up the heat a little bit. I'm not in a hurry to do anything. I have nothing to do other than just what I'm doing right now. And that's cooking and playing with the mutts. So I'm gonna end it right here and go inside and start prepping some ribs. It's at 176 now. Give it a few more minutes and it will actually be at that 270 mark without a doubt. Doesn't take long in this Gator pit. And you notice there's no smoke leaking, guys. That's what Gator pit's known for, nice tight doors. Here, I'll get a close up on it right there. No leaky, smoky doors. And again, everybody asks, do you cover your grills? I don't have a cover for any of my cookers outside. Not a one. They sit outside, guys. To me, they're a barbecue pit. You know, I don't want them ugly and rusty, but they're workhorses for me. They're a workhorse. And I treat them like a workhorse. And sometimes they get road hard and put up wet. But no problems. Again, not covered. There's not a cover on this pellet grill. It does sit outside. My pellet grills have gone through Hurricane Harvey. Where this pit's sitting right now, went through Hurricane Harvey. We got over 50 inches of rain that week in a matter of 3 or 4 days. And we fed the National Guard sitting out here in the rain. And EMTs and law enforcement and everybody else, all your first responders. We were feeding on an average, I think, 100 a day. And believe it or not, I used this size cooker. It wasn't this exact pit, but I used this pellet grill to feed 100 National Guard, EMTs, law enforcement with this size cooker right here. It did the job and it cooked We cooked for 4 or 5 days straight, non-stop. There's pictures. You'll find pictures of that here at my on my YouTube channels, I believe, and my social media, being Facebook. We had tables actually out here in the yard, driveway in the yard out here, and they would get off their shifts and come sit right here. They would eat at the tables, we'd serve them, and then they'd go off to wherever they were bivouacking or crashing out. So here we're at 194 now. All right. Now you could get temperature faster if you do hit the hob button like Smoke Daddy says. But again, my experience is to start low and work your way up as opposed to high and try to work your way down. I do the same thing with my offset fireboxes. I don't build a big fire from the get-go. I build a fire that I know is going to get me to my temperature that I want to cook at, which on my offsets I like to run 250 on average throughout my cooks. So I'm going to build a fire that's going to get me to that 250, 275 at most, as opposed to a big roaring fire and then like, shit, I got to get this thing down. Now I'm running 350, 325, and I got to calm it down. I don't like to do that. I like to go low and slow, start off low and slow. So here we are now at 200. It says 199, but it's about to flip to 200. Does have a drop down shelf. This is a great pit. I've got another one that we're going to be building for me, and it's going to be badass. I don't know the cat out of the bag yet, so I'm going to wait before I tell you what those are. It's going to be a new design. Actually, it's not a new design. I've had it for 5 years on paper on my computer in a CAD file. I built one earlier last year, and I'm going to build me another one, but it's going to be tricked out a little more in my pit. I've got, in fact, I have 4 of those on order right now. You won't see them on the website. You won't see them on any YouTube channel. There's no pictures of them, anything. These are customers that have come to my house, or not my house, my shop, or they called me and asking me, hey, have you ever done this? I'm like, actually, I have. It was a design I designed for me at least 5 years ago. Never got around to build it because I'm so damn busy with customer orders. Yeah, I wait for my own pits too, guys, just like everybody else does. I wait for them. So I've been wanting that pit now for 5 years, and I still don't have it. But I'm going to build it this year. So we're now at 206, and rather than bore y'all, I'm kind of rambling now. So I'm gonna just let it run up there to this 207. So I'm gonna let it run up to my temp 270. I'm gonna go inside and get my ribs and all that, and I'll try to shoot some videos later on as well, and show you guys what I'm doing after this initial fire up on my Gator Pit Pellet Grill. I'm Rich Robin. I'm the owner of Gator Pit, Texas. I designed all these suckers right here. I said suckers, not the other word. And they're great cookers, man. I mean, this is how easy this is. It's that easy. Fire it up, push a button, right? And you don't have to add wood to it throughout the day. I can actually put my ribs on there, and I can go leave for 5 hours and come back, and I know this thing's cooked my ribs, right? Same thing with a brisket. I can throw a brisket on there and be gone for 10 hours. Put it on 225 and just let it roll, right? Be gone for 10 hours and come back. It will cook it all day like that. You don't have to worry about it. The only thing you do, well, I say you don't have to worry about it. The only thing you do have to worry about is electricity, right? This thing runs off of electricity, right? So if you lose power, get a power surge, this thing won't reboot itself or start itself back up, right? And when it loses power, it's done. There's no power, so it will shut down. That's the only thing you have to worry about. So when I do long cooks, if I'm catering, right? If I'm catering, or if I'm doing a long cook overnight, which is usually when I'm catering, I'll actually put a wireless thermometer inside that and have the monitor sitting on my nightstand by my bed. And that way in the middle of the night, whenever I kind of wake up in the middle of the night, I can look at my monitor, and if it's showing me temperature, cooking, if it's set at 225 and it's showing me 225 on my monitor, my nightstand, I know I'm still cooking. I know I still got power, so I don't get up and come out here and check it. You can also put warnings on those things. They'll beep and tell you if it gets below your set temperature, right? Those that use those things know. And I do use those for those overnight catering cooks. So I said earlier that I don't use meat thermometers. I do during that, but it's not because, it's because it's the pit. I'm monitoring the pit more than I am my meat, right? Last thing you want to do is do all night cook on a catering job where you're serving 30 briskets, or cooking 30 briskets, or 30 pork butts, which I do, and you wake up the next morning and you have cold meat. It looks the same as it did when you put it on at 8 o'clock that night, the previous day, right? Not a good thing, especially when you have to tell your customer. So, for those of you that cater, that's how I do it, if y'all wondering. Alright, so, again, rambling on. Let me go inside and let me get some ribs out and prepped. And I'll keep trying to shoot some videos out here, but sometimes I get a little too busy doing the meat and all that, or cooking or whatnot, and I just kind of forget about shooting vids. You'll notice a lot of my videos, or some of them, not a lot, but some of them will be like, well, you never showed the meat at the end. That's because family came over, friends came over, we're sitting out here, and you know, we're having a few of these, shooting a bull, and then we go inside and eat, and everybody, you know, and I forget about shooting a vid. That's what happens. There's too much happening. I'll try to do that today. Hopefully, I'll try to do that today. And sit out here before it starts raining and stare at the lake. Drinking some cold beverage, guys. RichRobin@GatorPit.net. You can email me at info@GatorPit.net. That's info@GatorPit.net. Website again is www.gatorpit.net. GatorPit.net. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube channel. Just Google Gator Pit or Gator Pit Barbecue Pits, and you will find thousands and thousands of whatever on me. I'm all over the world, guys. Not hard to find, not hard to see my products. There's over 400 YouTube videos like you're seeing right now. That's just mine, not to mention other customers. All right, I'm gonna shut it down. I'm at 22 minutes on this. I'm gonna shut this down. Oh, we are at 238 before I shut it down. So within a few more minutes, this thing will be at 270. It's climbing faster as it gets, as it warms up. It gets, it warms up faster. I just went 239, 240 that fast. It's going to get quicker once it gets to a certain point to getting to your set temp. So if I was cooking 225 right now, I would actually just turn this down to 225. Right now I'm at 242. So if I want to cook 225, I would actually turn this down, hitting the minus button and setting it at the 225 temperature. All right, and open your door and let it kind of drop down. Otherwise, let it go to the mid setting, which is 270, which is where I have it now. And then when I put my meat on out here, I'm going to turn it down. So that's what I do, guys. This is how I fire up my pellet grill. It doesn't matter if it's my meat slinger in my catering trailer, or if it's this pit, be in the backyard, 20 by 36. This is a great pit. It's great for the backyard. It'll more than handle what most people are going to cook at their house. I do have a preference or a love for the 24 diameters, which is another reason why this one's going to go to my shop, and I'm going to build me the bigger 24 with a lot of other design features to it that I mentioned earlier. But for the most part, guys, for what everybody's cooking, this thing will do your briskets, your butts, your ribs, your chickens, your fatties, your tenderloins. Cook anything you want. It'll hold enough meat, capacity-wise, more than you're probably ever going to have to need to eat at your house. I mean, I can get 4 briskets on the bottom rack of this thing. I mean, that's where you get 4 briskets, man. I mean, you're talking feeding 15 to 20 people a brisket. You're talking a lot of food, and you still have the top rack to put more meat on. And this one does have a full top rack. It has what I call the split rack, which is what my Texas Premier has. So you'll see it on my website if you want to look at that. The front half is actually laying on top of the back half in there. I'll show you. So that rack is actually a rack on top of a rack, but it does fit right there. It smells good. One other little tip or thing to mention. A lot of people say, well, I don't see any smoke coming out of your pit. I can see a heat wave coming out with a little hint of smoke. I mean, it's not like an offset when you throw a log in there, but when this thing gets to temps, it's going to shut down, and then when it fires back up, when it drops down, like I said, I got it 275 or 270. When it drops down to 265, it's going to fire back up, dump pellets in there, kick it back on, and that's when you're going to see smoke coming out the stack. But if you don't think these pellet grills aren't putting smoke out, put your hand above the stack here for a few seconds. Don't get it too close because you'll burn the crap out of it, right? I can see a little smoke coming out right now. I can see it. I don't know if it shows in the video, but I can see it. And then smell your hand. There's smoke, guys. I mean, you can smell the smoke. It's smoking. Now you heard it just kicked down. Yeah, fire back up. Now because it's getting close to that 270. It's at 259, 260. So it's going to start slowing down because it's going to try not to overshoot my 270 preset on it, right? So it's doing what it's supposed to do. And it's going to maintain that 270. So it's now at this point it's at 250. So it's going to slow down and then slowly work it up to the 270, 260. You hear it change? Fan kick back on, 262. Yep, so see, it's going to get to that 270, and then it's going to slow down and maintain that 270, plus or minus 5 degrees. That's what it's designed to do by Smoke Daddy. All right, I'm out of here. I keep saying this the third time I've said that. I'm out of here, and I'll see y'all later on. Bye.